Argentina. Federación Internacional de Natación Amateur presents the rules of the game. An instructional video for referees, coaches, and players. This video is intended to supplement the rules of water polo and the official rules interpretations of the FINA Technical Water Polo Committee. The intent of this video is to show the most common foul situations that occur in a water polo game. The focus is typically between two players. The intent is not to focus on game situations, team play, or advantage. Players bear into each other with no foul. Here, two players gain no advantage over each other swimming down the pool. Offensive player stops, and defense puts hands up with no foul. In the slow motion, you can see incidental arm contact that does not affect the advantage position of the offensive player. When the offensive player in dark cap stops, the defender stops also and puts his hands up. Here again, the offensive player cuts in front of the defender who stops and puts her hands up. Defensive player swims over the offensive player who has advantage. Exclusion foul. Once again, the offensive player swims in front of the defender. But this time, the defender doesn't stop. Defender pulls back the offensive player while swimming. Exclusion foul. Here, the defender pulls back the suit of the offensive player, causing the exclusion foul. When the offensive player has the ball in an inside advantage inside the 4-meter line, the resulting call is a 4-meter penalty. Gross and go from set position to gain an advantage in the counterattack. Offensive foul. Here, the offensive player pushes off the defender to gain an offensive advantage. A gross and go can also occur on the perimeter. Offensive player ducks under defensive player who has advantage. Offensive foul. Here, the offensive player ducks under the defender to try and draw an exclusion foul. This is an offensive foul. Hard foul to destroy counterattack. Exclusion foul. The offensive player is against the lane line and is sunk with two hands by the defender to prevent the counterattack. Hold from a stationary position so offense cannot swim. Exclusion foul. As the guard starts on the counterattack, the former set player holds the defender, preventing him from swimming. Offensive player is impeded outside the 4-meter line, but retains advantage. No foul. The offensive player is swimming with the ball outside the 4-meter line with the defensive player on his back. The offensive player is able to maintain forward motion and get a shot off. The offensive player is held, sunk, or pulled back outside the 4-meter line and loses advantage. Exclusion foul. The referee should not make a call until the offensive player reaches the 4-meter line. If the 4-meter line is not reached, this is an exclusion foul. The defensive player holds, sinks, or pulls back the offensive player with inside water who's inside the 4-meter line. 4-meter penalty. If the 4-meter line is reached, a 4-meter penalty is the appropriate call when the defender takes away the advantage of the offensive player by holding, sinking, or pulling back. The defense plays hands-up defense on an offensive player with inside water. No foul. The defender times his contact with the arm of the offensive player when the offensive player is holding the ball, and releases the offensive player when the offensive player lets go of the ball. In this actual game situation, the defender plays hands-up defense until right here. Let's look at it again. It's only when the offensive player moves to his right that the defender commits the foul by holding and sinking, which results in a 4-meter penalty. Offensive player is fouled but still maintains an advantaged position and an opportunity to score. No foul. When the defender commits a foul but advantage is not completely lost, the referee may wait an instant to give the offensive player the opportunity to score. Offensive player with advantage puts hand on the ball and defender forces the ball under. Ball under. Offensive player with advantage puts hand on the ball and the defender steals the ball. No foul. Establishing position, equal pushing, no foul. Where the offensive and defensive players are in the normal set position, both are egg beatering and pushing into each other, and neither player gains an advantage, there's no foul. Establishing position, the defender swims around the center forward to gain advantage. No foul. Here the defensive player swims around the offensive player without making anything more than incidental contact to take the position away. No foul. Women's suit grab by the defense. Exclusion foul. The defensive player can be visibly seen holding the offensive player's suit to gain a defensive advantage. Woman's suit grab by offense. Offensive foul. Here the offensive player reaches behind her to grab the defensive player's suit to gain an advantage. Defense swims over the center forward to get position or the ball. Exclusion foul. The defender goes over top of the offensive player to either take away position or to try and steal the ball. Defensive player sinks the offense. Exclusion foul. The defensive player puts both hands on the offensive player's shoulders and sinks the offensive player. Hands up defense, no foul. Here the set defender has hands up while putting defensive pressure on the offensive player. Bad pass, or the ball is thrown closer to the defense and the sluffer steals the ball. No foul. Where the ball is thrown equidistant between the set and the sluffer, defenders may slightly impede the set as the sluffer gets the ball. The further the ball away is from the center forward and the closer to the defenders, the more should be tolerated. Bad pass. Ball thrown too close or closer to the defense. No call. Center forward has ball in hand. No foul. Center forward loses control of the ball. No foul. When the the center forward grabs the ball and starts to turn towards the goal and releases it but loses control of the ball and the sluffer arrives to steal it, there's no foul. Impeding arm movement, ordinary foul. Where the center forward reaches for the ball and the arm movement is impeded by the defensive player, this may be an ordinary foul. Holding or pulling back the arm reaching for the ball, exclusion foul. As the center forward reaches for the ball, the defensive player grabs hold of the arm and continues to hold the arm so that the offensive player can't get the ball. Sinking and or holding the offensive player as the ball arrives, exclusion foul. It's an exclusion foul for the defensive player to put one hand on the offensive player's shoulder and sink or hold him while he or she reaches for the ball with the other hand. Over-aggressive foul with hand or arm to the head or neck, exclusion foul. Here the defender goes straight over the top of the offensive player and hits him on the head with his arm. In this one, the blue cap defender reaches around and grabs the face of the offensive player. In this one, the defender hits the offensive player in the face with his elbow. Using the arm around the neck of an opponent should not be tolerated. Holding, sinking, or pulling back after the turn to face the goal, penalty shot. The offensive player turns to face the goal and releases the ball. The defensive player grabs hold and prevents him from regaining hold of the ball again for a shot. The turn is too close to the goalie and the goalie steals the ball. No foul. Where the turn's too close to the goalie and the goalie steals the ball, no foul. Center forward gets inside water advantage and the defender plays with hands up. No foul. The offensive player turns to face the goal and releases the ball. When the ball is released, the defensive player throws both hands up in the air without pushing down on the offensive player in the process. Center forward gets inside water but loses control of the ball. No foul. Elbow to shoot, offensive foul. The offensive player grabs the ball with one hand, throws the elbow back into the defender, and takes the shot. Headbutt, offensive foul. The offensive player throws his head back into the defensive player and then releases to turn and shoot. Fake headbutt, no foul. In this sequence, the defender tries to draw an offensive foul by throwing his head back to deceive the referee. Push off to release and shoot, offensive foul. Here the offensive player uses the offhand to push off the defender to turn and shoot. Center forward turns while grabbing defender above the water, offensive foul. Grab defender swimsuit to gain advantage for a shot. Offensive foul. Here the defender is visibly being held while the offensive player tries to get her shot off. The offensive player pushes off the defender to receive a pass. Offensive foul. The offensive player pushes off the defensive player on his back to get free for a pass. Ball under. Offensive foul. The offensive player puts his hand on the ball, and the defensive player reaches around and pushes on the arm of the offensive player, taking the ball completely underwater. Hands up defense. No foul. Here the defensive player is playing hands up defense, only touching the offensive player when the offensive player touches the ball. The defender should be given a brief instant after the offensive player releases the ball to get his hands up. If he continues to hold the offensive player's hand down, that's impeding, and that's an ordinary foul. impede arm movement, ordinary foul. When the defensive player continues grabbing, holding, or impeding the movement of the offensive player who has released the ball, it's an ordinary foul. Offensive player turns defense on perimeter and gains inside advantage. Exclusion foul. In the slow motion, you can see the defender holding after the turn, resulting in the exclusion. Foul on foul, exclusion foul. Here the defender is coiled for an ordinary foul and then pushes off the offensive player for a second foul, resulting in an exclusion. Grabbing or holding the offensive player before the ball arrives. Exclusion foul. As the pass is thrown to the offensive player, the defensive player grabs the offensive player, preventing him from receiving the pass. Pushing the ball away after a foul. Exclusion foul. The defensive player commits an ordinary foul and then reaches around with the other hand and pushes the ball away or swims away with the ball so that the offensive player can't take the free throw. Over-aggressive play to the head or face. Exclusion foul. Any play to the face should be considered over-aggressive and likely to cause injury. An over-aggressive swing of the arm need not make contact to be considered over-aggressive. Here, two different players commit over-aggressive fouls against the same offensive player on consecutive plays. The offensive player pushes off the defender to make the pass. Offensive foul. The offensive player hooks the arm of the defender to draw the foul. Offensive foul. Defender hand checks or holds the driver. Exclusion foul. An exclusion foul should also be called when the driver is held by the defender. Hook and pull over. Exclusion foul. As the offensive player starts to drive on the side of the defender, the defensive player reaches out, grabs the offensive player, and pulls him over top of himself to make it look like an offensive foul. Defensive player swims over the driver. Exclusion foul. Offensive player swims over the defender who has good position. Offensive foul. Sink the post. Exclusion foul. As the ball is worked around the perimeter in the 6-on-5 situation, the defender at the post sinks the offensive player with both hands. Aggressive sink on the perimeter and drop. Exclusion foul. The defender commits a hard ordinary foul and then sinks and pushes off the offensive player to get back to double team the offensive post player. Intentional splashing. Exclusion foul. Here the blue defender intentionally splashes the offensive player to gain a defensive advantage. Arm pull down on good crossing pass. 4-meter penalty. Here the offensive player has good position in front of the goal. As the ball comes in from a good pass and the offensive player tries to catch the ball, the defender grabs and pulls him down, preventing a goal.